just the last year since I made one of these e-bike roundup videos, electric bike imports in the US have gone from an already crazy 880,000 in 2021, up from 437,000 the year before, to 1.1 million in 2022. With the amount of e-bikes increasing year over year, it begs the question, if you're in the market for one, which do you buy? In my last video like this, I tested a ton of e-bikes to figure out 4 that I thought were the best across a broad spectrum of different types of bikes for various riders. You can check that out at the link below. But since then, I've gotten a lot of questions about which are the best e-bikes within certain subsets of criteria. So I figured I would do a few best of e-bike videos on those different subgenres, we'll call them, starting with a variety of the best lightweight electric bikes. These 4 are all bikes you can pick up and carry if you need, feel and look more like their normal bike counterparts, and can all be used pretty well as a normal bike without any electric assist, if, you want to get exercise or something ridiculous. A quick refresher if you don't know, the rules here in the US vary slightly by state, but usually bikes are broken down into 3 categories, with the majority of e-bikes that you'll buy falling into Class 1 and Class 2, with the major difference being that Class 1 is pedal assist only, and Class 2 has pedal assist but also a throttle that you can use without pedaling. Both of these classes must have pedals on them, they must be limited to 20 miles per hour when using the electric motor. They do not require helmets here in New York City at least, but of course they're recommended. You don't need a driver's license, and they can be ridden where bicycles are normally ridden, and are just the most popular e-bikes by far. If you want more information on the rules or regulations around e-bikes, or just things you need to know before you buy an e-bike, I'll leave a link below to that Decoder episode I mentioned. Okay, first up for our lightweight electric bikes, we have the Velotrick Thunder One. This is a new bike from Velotrick, a company founded by some of Lime's original hardware team. You know, the super popular e-scooter and e-bike company. Now, honestly, this is probably the bike that provides the most value per dollar, as it has a decent amount of features, but is the most affordable bike on this list. Now, full disclosure, Velotrick and all the other companies on this list sent me their bikes when I requested them for review for this video. So, the Thunder One is the first attempt from Velotrick at what they call a smart urban e-bike. It weighs 36 pounds, which makes it very light for an electric bike actually, and I had no issue carrying it up and down a few flights of stairs. Now, the styling is very much like any normal street bike with thin tires, hydraulic disc brakes, a headlamp that is connected to the internal battery and turned on by pushing this button on the handlebars, and a rear light that is battery powered and turned on by pushing a button on the back light. Now it comes in 2 colors, this frozen blue I have here, and a crystal black. It also comes in 2 sizes, a medium that is meant for riders 5'6" to 6 foot, and a large for 5'10" to 6'5". Now I'm 5'10"-ish, but I have the medium as I like to just have a lower stance personally. We have a non-removable battery located in the frame, and we have a 350 watt hub motor in the back wheel that can produce 45 nanometers or so of torque. Now, since this is a Class 1 bike, there is no throttle. So instead, you can choose from various levels of pedal assist. To do that on this bike, we have up and down arrows here on the left handlebar that you can tap to switch from 0 with no assist to 1 through 5 for various levels of assist. And these are indicated by the colors here on the frame. We also have a Shimano 8-speed gear system, which is important for when you, again, might want to just ride the bike normally. And you'd be surprised how many bikes, actually in price ranges well above this one, don't have gears, which makes it pretty useless as soon as you don't use the electric motor. The battery is supposed to give you up to 70 miles of range, but as with all of the ranges on any electric bike, that's usually on the lowest power setting. There's a ton of other factors that could change that range, so just take that with a grain of salt. Now, some of the smart features of the smart urban e-bike. Firstly, there's an app, because of course there is. In that app, we can lock and unlock the bike, as well as turn on theft alert, which notifies you if the bike is moved while it's locked and not connected to your phone's Bluetooth. We can change riding modes to adjust how the bike's motor reacts to our pedaling. We can register our fingerprint to use to unlock the bike instead of the app. We have an option for that headlight to automatically turn on at night, and more. The bike also has GPS to help you track if it's lost or stolen. And again, it has all of these things at a much lower price than most. I'll leave links to all the bikes in this video below, and I'll regularly update those links with the best prices that I can find. Next up, we have the specialized Turbo Creo SL Comp E5, which isn't a great name. And I actually have the specialized Turbo Creo SL Comp Carbon, but they also have the Turbo Creo SL Expert, the S-Works Turbo Creo SL, the S-Works Turbo Creo SL Evo, and well, 66 other electric bike models. And these are broken down into multiple product families, and some have very slight differences between them. The point being that specialized bikes are oddly specialized. I could actually probably do an entire video on just the specialized lineup of e-bikes, but for this video we want to talk about the Comp E5 and the Comp Carbon. So if you can't tell right off the bat just by looking at this bike, this is my choice for bikers who are serious about biking and want to step up to a serious bike that also has an electric motor. Like if you sometimes put on a specific outfit to ride your bike in, this is your e-bike. So again, what I have here is the Turbo Creo SL Comp Carbon, but the Turbo Creo SL Comp E5 I also recommend, and they're both very similar. There are some small differences here and there, but the main difference being that the Carbon's frame is made out of carbon fiber instead of the E5's aluminum, so it's lighter. Regardless, looking at the bike, you'd have a hard time telling it's not a regular hardcore cycling road bike. And coming from a company that has made high-performing normal road bikes for a long time, you'd expect nothing less. The bike features an adjustable suspension front fork. On the Carbon, you can do that by hand. On the E5, you actually need a tool, a Sunrace 11-speed gear cassette, as well as Shimano hydraulic brakes, slightly higher models on the Carbon versus the E5, and Shimano mechanical shifters to change the gears. Now, something I don't particularly like, but again, the demographic for this bike does, is the drop bars that are used on them. These are meant to be used in a tuck position or leaning forward and generally help with a rider having a reduced profile to the wind, as well as greater leverage against the pedals, especially when combined with a raised seat like this bike has. For the electric part of this bike, we have a 240 watt motor with 35 nanometers of torque. This motor is a mid-drive motor, and so it's actually here in between the pedals. Again, I have more information in my e-bike explainer video, but suffice it to say for this that mid-drive motors are just generally smoother and help with keeping the weight centered in an e-bike, but are more expensive than a hub motor, the motor in one of the wheels. Now this is paired with a non-removable battery housed inside the frame and has a claimed 80 miles of range. Since again this is a class 1 e-bike, we have pedal assist that is indicated by LEDs here on the frame, we have off or no assist, and then we have 3 levels of assist after that. You adjust these levels by tapping one of the hidden buttons on either side of the handles, one for up and one for down. And while the motor doesn't put out a ton of power, it is very smooth and again is there to supplement you pedaling when you really need it, more so than shoot you down the road. We also have an app that allows you to customize some of the bike's features like fine-tune the bike's ride and power band and some other minor tweaks, as well as a map to track your rides. Now all of this hardcore cycling tech, as it does in the non-electrified world, comes with a premium price tag, so keep that in mind. As always though, again, I will leave a link below to the best price that I can find. And here we have the Vanmof S5, the successor to the S3 that was in my last best e-bike video. Now, if you're not familiar with Vanmof, they are a very minimalistic looking Amsterdam-based e-bike company that has become very popular over the years and is often compared to Apple. And if we're honest, it's not quite a light bike. In fact, it's the heaviest bike on this list. But it's not quite as heavy as some others that I've tested, and I found that riders that are just ultra tech savvy and want a minimalistic bike are still gonna choose this over a lighter bike regardless. So we're putting it on the list, but just know it's not that light. Anyway, the S5 and A5 are essentially the same bike, but just with different frames and wheel sizes. The S5 being bigger with a higher crossbar and 27-inch wheels is meant for riders between the heights of 5'4" and 6'9", while the A5 has a lower crossbar to make it easier to step over, 24-inch wheels, and is for riders between 5'1" and 6'5". They both also come in 2 colors, dark gray and gray. Not as fun as the baby blue S3 and X3, but what can you do? We have a very slick looking built-in headlight and taillight, as well as front and rear fenders. The battery is built into the frame and is non-removable except for servicing at a Vanmof store, according to Vanmof. They also say that the battery will do 37 miles on full assist mode and 93 on the lowest level of assist. And honestly, I appreciate that they actually give a range. You can check the battery level using the new Halo Ring interface, as they call it, instead of the matrix display that they used to have. This brings information closer to your eye line instead of having to look down at the frame for information. So, We have battery level on the left halo ring, and your speed indicator as well as what power assist level you are currently on the right one. You also have a few buttons here as well. On the right we have our boost button, which we'll talk about a bit later, and a button to cycle through the pedal assist levels. On the left, a button to flash the headlight to get people's attention if needed, and a decently loud electronic bell button. The hub motor housed in the front wheel is a 250 watt, apparently reworked motor. And again, because this is a class 1 bike, there is no throttle, but Vanmof has always kind of gotten around this by adding a boost button that when you hold it down, it gives the pedal assist a much bigger push for a limited time. Think of it like a higher level than the 4 you get, but only for short bursts. I personally love holding it down all of the time. Now, something that's worth noting that's different between the S5 and A5 versus the S3 and X3 is the new torque sensor used for the gears, which makes the changing of gears a lot less jarring, as it can now understand how hard you're pushing and use that as a factor to change gear or not. A good example of this is if you're pedaling hard, it now knows that you probably need a new gear change, but it'll wait until you back off to avoid changing gears in the middle of that hard push. Now, sort of famously, this bike also has a pretty aggressive anti-theft situation going on. Firstly, the bike has an alarm that you can enable by tapping the kick lock on the back wheel with your toe. It also has cellular and Bluetooth tracking capabilities, as well as Apple Find My built in, and will notify you of where the bike was last seen in the app if it's ever stolen. Vanmof also offers a service for $395 for 3 years that gets you bike hunters, they call them. And if your bike is stolen, they'll go out and find it for you, or they'll replace it for free. The app also allows you to unlock and lock the bike remotely, track your rides, book appointments for maintenance, and even customize the bike, levels of pedal assist, etc. The Vanmof is definitely for the more tech-centric, maybe even more design-focused rider, but because of that, the price comes at a bit of a premium. Again, I'll leave the best price I can find at the link below. Next, we have the light folding bike. This is the GoCycle G4, and it's one of the lightest folding bikes that feels like a full-size bike that you can get. It weighs 38.8 pounds, which is very light, especially when you consider how many extra components are needed to make a bike fold and lock into place securely. It also has a 500 watt front hub motor integrated into a single side carbon fiber fork, and it's paired with a 40-mile listed range, 300 watt-hour removable battery. You fold it by undoing this latch and folding it in half, and then undoing this latch to fold down the handlebars, and that's basically it, making it great to carry or store in an apartment, for example. Now, while riding it, you have a 3-speed transmission that you can shift through mechanically here on the right handlebar, and you'll get pedal assist from the motor throughout. Now, the amount of assist isn't controllable directly on the bike, but you can use the GoCycle Connect app and then decide which levels of assist you want to use, and you can even customize them. The bike also has a torque sensor, like the others on this list, so that means it has pretty smooth power delivery. And the bike just feels well made, and it just has a much smoother ride than any other folding bike I've used. The whole bike itself just feels very solid. And, considering it snaps in half, solid is a good thing. There you go. Bit of a different video for me to make. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys did as well. Let me know in the comments below, though, what you thought of the video, of the bikes, anything else. Always appreciate hearing from you guys. If you're not already, subscribe, ding the bell so you get notified when I do new videos. And as much fun as it has been to film this, it has been a very, very long day. I'm exhausted. So, good night. Produce 45 nanometers truck. There it is. Tap to switch from 0 with no assist. Can't. There's a truck backing up and what sounds like a buzzsaw happening at the same time. It's like a symphony of noise. Pedaling can register dirt bike. It's a dirt bike. Have the headlight automatically turn on jackhammer. I don't even know what that sound is. It's like a maglev train going by. It's a new sound. And can all be used pretty well as a normal. Shh, everybody, shh, quiet. Entire city, shut up. Pick the worst spots to film. This is my fault. This is no one else's fault but mine. Anyway, the S5 and A5 are essentially the same. What is that? Oh, it's the ferry. As it has a lower crossbar to make it easier to step over, 24-inch wheels, and is for riders between... It's a loud wave. These are some loud waves. All of a sudden.